Welcome back to Newsmaker Live, and we're into the dying moments of our program. Time surely flies back when you're flies quickly when you're having fun. And Tim, before we went to break, I mean, this caller asked a few questions. I'm not sure where you want to start or whether you can respond to those concerns that he had.
Well, he asked about encouraging customers to build water tanks or cisterns to, and I think after Hurricane Thomas, remember physical planning, municipal planning, I think they were looking at enforcing that as part of your approval for you to have a rainwater cistern or some form of storage, whether it's rainwater or not. I'm not sure if that was actually enacted in law, but I know they have encouraged persons to, as part of the house plans, to have some form of water storage. So that's a good observation, and WASCO always work with various agencies to encourage persons to conserve water. We have done a number of maybe with Lucilec and other agencies in terms of water conservation, how to maybe encourage the staff to look at ways of conserving water. So we do our bit in social. I think on some other television station we had some things going on in terms of water conservation tips. So we are doing our part to get that done.
We have a call on the line. Good evening. We just lost that call. Before we end, Dawn, I want to talk about your book, A Common Sense Approach to Disaster Management. Just touch on some of the more pertinent points that you have in there as far as disaster management.
It looks at the traditional hazards of hurricane. Of course, you can't do a talk like that and not speak about hurricane, but also it's about fires, poisoning, personal security. So it was actually done in collaboration with a number of the stakeholders of NEMO. So it was vetted by the police. Actually, early childhood education looked at it because there's a chapter about children. Children start a lot of fires because they're fascinated by playing with matches. So it looks at that. It looks, for example, most people who have crossed our path at Nemo would know that you cannot take your pet to a shelter for public health reasons. You cannot take an animal into an emergency shelter. So what are you putting in place for your pets, for your cat and dog and etc.? So it tries to run a full gauntlet of hazards. It shows you the various categories for hurricanes. It talks about tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanoes. We have a volcano in St. Lucia. It's at stage green at the moment, so everything is nice, calm, cool and collected. But it tries to touch on a number of things and that persons can take on board for themselves.
We have a call on the line. Good evening, caller. Thanks for holding. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, Clinton, and good evening to your guest. With WASCO, one of the problems I have is that everybody around seems to be having bottled water now. Mostly everybody can bottle water. Why not WASCO? Why WASCO has not watched this thing as a business? And secondly, for me, WASCO should be selling bottled water, water filters, all these things. WASCO should be watching that more or less like a business to generate money, because solely the depending government always have to bail out WASCO on how many millions WASCO at times owing Lucilec, and I know the water, definitely the water, the prices for the water is definitely too low. As a customer, I must say it's definitely too low. But there are other ways that WASCO need to watch it. They need to go into most probably bottled water and be selling maybe water filters and other things. It can even be water tanks too, but watch it as a business, because for me, you need to expand. You need not to stay in one little hole. You need to expand yourself and get into some serious business. WASCO needs to get into some serious business to generate enough money to sustain itself, and maybe privatization will be the best way. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution.
Well, I guess the caller has made some valuable suggestions in terms of how we could expand our business. We are not adverse on doing bottled water, but we have to ensure that we can supply all our customers with water first before we start looking at doing these other things. But it's a very valid suggestion, and I think somewhere down the road WASCO would be looking at these other areas.
Can you imagine that, Dawn, I mean, and Tim has touched on it, that you know, Wasco selling bottled water, and you know, some customers somewhere like Lakwamingo has just called there doesn't get water in the pipe. You know, what kind of situation that might?
Well, actually, whilst the suggestion was being made, I was wondering where Wasco was getting the seed money. Because it's a business, but it's an interesting business proposal.
Yeah.
That, because he's also saying sell filters. So as he was talking, I was thinking, I said, to see the full spectrum of water, as he says, as a business.
Yeah.
So even if Wasco not in a position yet to sell bottled water, there are other things within the water sector that maybe they could look at. But I think it still comes down fundamentally to the poor business model, for lack of a better description, of they're selling water cheaper than it takes for them to make it. So if it's costing them $10 to make the water and they're selling it at $7, there will always be a loss. If they're making it at 10, they need to sell it at 15.
Try 12 for starters. We have a call on the line. Good evening, caller. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I want to find out, I heard the gentleman saying that they work tirelessly carrying the heavy pipes down the mud and all that during the hurricane. Were they not paid? And what are they doing now? Are they still carrying the heavy pipes now? Could you answer that?
Okay.
Well, I'm not too sure I'm not too sure if I understand the question, but he was suggesting that yes, the guys were getting paid to carry the pipes and stuff. We were just looking at the whole aspect of human nature. People doing things that they don't normally do. That's risky situations, and you have to thank your staff for going all out to ensure that certain things happen. Because to have persons, a family, not sure if they're going to come back home based on where they go to. So by all means, you must thank your staff for putting themselves out to try to get the water system back as fast as, because maybe they could have not done it at the time, the rate they have done it. So you have to thank them for getting it back, because we needed, St. Lucia was in crisis, if you want to put it that way. And the workers ensure that they put their best foot forward, work far beyond the normal duty time.
Someone who is serious about what they do, and you get a disaster, office hours go out the window.
Yeah.
Because these guys, what are their office hours? 8 to 4?
8 to 4, 7:30, 4:30, yeah.
Midnight, they're still in the dark. And it's not just the Wasco workers we're talking about. We're talking about the full gauntlet of disaster response personnel, doctors, firemen, cadet corps, disaster committee members. You don't stop to, at some point I'd say, hey, the news at 7 o'clock, and when you say Miss French, it's 10 o'clock in the night, you know how long the news pass, because you lose sense of time. You are focused in trying to get whatever the task you have been assigned. So I even if they did get paid, they did go above and beyond what, if they had to get paid for what they did, true. We would not be able to compensate anybody.
No.
Hello.
Starting with myself going down the line.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, good evening, caller. Thank you for holding. Please go ahead. Your final call.
Yes, sir. Educate me a bit, please. And these are as follows, as quickly as possible. Swimming pools, water bottling companies, do they pay higher rates than the normal household? And for your information, I would like to let you know that we don't have a water shortage in St. Lucia. Rather, we have inadequate water storage facilities. And I would advise you to pay a careful look at how your water is being distributed, how it's been managed with regard to water distribution to developments and homes, just as electricity has found out tonight that service is being rendered without being authorized.
Okay.
The other one is look at ways of privatization of Wasco. You don't have the money to run the water. And you know it's our very basic necessity. Water is one of it, or one of them. And we are asking you to look at ways of raising the money. Government can do it, or Wasco can do it 1/3 for the time being. Such arrangement could be made with a financier, and 2/3 to the financier. Again, we do not have water shortage in St. Lucia, and we are asking you to look at the way development in carried on with the use of Wasco as well as Loose Lake and Cable Vision. These public utilities, they are the beneficiaries, not the middle class or on these people who are made to be paying lump sum.
Okay, caller, just wrap up, please, because we have,
look at these things, please.
All right, thank you very much for your contribution, but we're running out of time. Just quickly, Tim, address them and just some closing words. From
well, he asked about the rates which the water they're actually all commercial business. They pay a commercial rate, so it's higher than the domestic rate. So they don't pay the same rate with our domestic customers. He mentioned I think he mentioned illegal connections. That's something we have campaigns, and we have crews actually going out on a regular basis to try to discover the illegal connections. We have very good customers who sometimes call in and to inform us about where there may be possible illegal connections. So we're definitely doing our part to ensure that we have that at a low scale in most of the areas. You mentioned storage. Yes, we understand the whole thing about having the storage on our distribution system. So we are looking at our system on a whole and how we can improve it for the benefit of everyone.
Ms. French?
Final words?
Final words?
Well,
for tonight.
Hurricanes, Sandy has shown us that the hurricane season is not over. We've still got November to go, and even as we focus on the drama that is unfolding in America, we need to remember that Sandy first went over Jamaica, Haiti and Cuba, and Haiti really got the hit, and they're reeling right now. We have not been activated to go into Haiti, but I don't know if we will be, because we saw reports that they're concerned for increasing cholera. Cool. And their food was, their crops were severely battered by Sandy, so they're also facing food shortages. So I just want us to bear that, our brethren in mind in the other islands, even as we watch what happens, because a lot of us have family in the States, a lot of us also have family in the other islands, and these 3 islands, Sandy went over them first. And of course, just keep an eye out on the weather report, because we still got 4 weeks to go officially for the hurricane season.
Wonderful. Don French, NEMO Director, Timothy James, Senior Distribution Technician at the Water and Sewage Company. We want to thank them both for being part of Newsmaker Live this evening. And just before we leave, just a program note coming up on the Dolaw Factor Live tomorrow with Delia Dolaw. What hairstyle is right for your face and your personality? A common mistake is wearing a hairstyle you like that doesn't necessarily suit the shape of your face or the color of your skin. Men tend to shape up and wear the same style time after time. Okay, speaking about me right here, DFL will show men how versatile their hair is too. There'll also be demonstrations, tips and giveaways. John Delia and her guests, Cecilia Fitz, Tessa Clement and Melvin Simeon on Dolaw Factor Live. That is tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. So be sure to join Delia Dolaw for that program. And of course, I'll have to take some tips because that hairdo has been there for a little while. On behalf of my entire team, I want to thank you for being part of it. Those of you calling, of course, we appreciate your calls. Those of you who could not make it on the lines, probably you will get through the next time. So until next week, I'm Clinton Reynolds. But be sure to join me this weekend, Saturday night, for the Press Club. I'll be here with Jason Sifley, God willing. So until that time, good night.